All right, hey everybody, Lacey here at Grit City Wellness. Today we'll do a 30-minute Yin Yoga session. If you've never done Yin Yoga before, it's a pretty soft practice, so you don't need to be ready for a ton of movement. Yin Yoga is usually done either in a seat or lying down on the back belly or side body. We'll be holding poses for 3 to 5 minutes. Usually, pretty typically 2 minutes is when the body really starts to open up and unlock. The biggest reason that we're holding poses for 3 to 5 minutes is really to get into bones, joints, ligaments, and specifically the fascia. So fascia is this cottony-like substance that grows around bones, joints, and ligaments virtually overnight. And if we're not stretching our body and moving our body, that fascia begins to solidify. And as it begins to solidify, that's what really makes us a little bit more stiff. It can be more difficult to stretch. So we really want to make sure that we are keeping our body healthy and stretching out and opening and unlocking that fascia network. So if you have props at home, go ahead and grab props. Any blocks or bolsters or anything like that that you have, you can go ahead and grab. If you don't have any of those things, that's okay. You can grab either maybe a stack of books, a couple of pillows, either couch pillows or bed pillows would be fine, just to make yourself comfortable as we stay in poses for 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes the poses can become a little bit more uncomfortable as we really get into that 2nd minute mark. But go ahead and grab those items. We'll meet in a comfortable seat here. You can remove the flesh from the sits bones. Hands come to the knees. We'll just start in an easy seat, easy, comfortable seated position, ankles crossed. And go ahead and begin to close the eyes down. Taking your first few breaths to settle into the space. As we begin to settle into the space, start to allow any stress from the day to begin to dissolve. Any obligatory thoughts or to-do lists begin to float away from the mind as we really show up for our practice. And then from here, go ahead and do a full body scan from head to toe. Just noticing in which places of the body you might be holding tension, where you might be gripping or clenching. And begin to let those places fall down towards the floor a little bit more. Release. And then go ahead and bring your awareness to your energy level here. How are you feeling in this moment? Maybe energized, maybe sleepy, maybe you're feeling content. Just sitting with any feelings or your specific energy level. No need to change it. And then from here, we'll go ahead and return back into the breath. Noticing its gentle ebb and flow. The softness at the inhale and exhale. And we'll go ahead and greet each other with a few rounds of breath. So wherever you are, go ahead and exhale the air all the way away from the lungs, the space, the body. And then take your next biggest, largest, deepest breath in through the nose. Holding at the top, and then exhale out the mouth, let it go. Second time, just like that, inhale through the nose. Holding at the top, and then open mouth, exhale. Third time, Inhaling in through the nose, lift the breath all the way up and out the crown of the head, hold at the top. And then open mouth, audible exhale, let it go. And then come back to your natural breath rhythm. Staying in your seat with eyes closed down or otherwise, go ahead and gently begin to drop the right ear to the right shoulder. Just gently waking up the body, stretching out through the left side of the neck. And then inhale the head back up through center. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. Same thing on the opposite side. And then we'll inhale the head back up through center. This time, exhale to drop the chin towards the chest. Stretching out through the back of the neck. Start to sway the head from side to side, right to left. Really pressing into the upper back, press into the shoulder blades. 3 rounds of breath here. 1. 2. 'Last full round of breath here. And eventually exhaling to come back to stillness, back to neutral. The head comes back up to neutral. And if the eyes are closed down, you can go ahead and flutter them open. We'll come into our first official posture of class by slipping the legs apart, bringing the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide into a butterfly shape. So here, if you have blocks and you want to put blocks underneath your knees, if you need a little extra elevation, you can go ahead and do that. If you don't have blocks and you want to put books or pillows underneath the knees, you can also do that. Keeping in mind that the heels, if they're in towards the groin a little bit more, you're going to feel a little bit more stretch through the inner thighs. So if you want a little bit less, go ahead and inch the heels and the toes away from the body. And then we'll take an inhale. Lift the crown of the head towards the sky, get long through the spine, and then exhale as you start to walk the fingertips forward. Folding forward over the legs just slightly, stopping when you feel that tension through the legs, either staying up on the palms, or maybe you're flexy enough to come down onto the forearms, or maybe you find a prop and put the prop under the forearms here. Go ahead and drop the head down towards the toes, round through the spine. And here we stay in stillness and quietness for the next several moments, making sure that you're comfortable, you're playing that edge, only 30 or 40% capacity, not going to 100% depth here. Breathing. Letting go. Start to feel the inner thighs opening and unlocking. Perhaps you start to walk the fingertips forward a couple of inches, working into that edge. Coming down a little bit deeper. Start to come back to breath. Take your next full inhale and full exhale within the shape. And then within the next breath or two, start to begin to walk the hands back in towards the body nice and slow. Being mindful of the hips here as we start to come out of the pose. Once you come back up to a seated position, you can bring the hands to the backs of the knees, close the knees up like a book, and then start to extend the legs out long. As we extend the legs out long, maybe go ahead and just pedal out through the knees, tap the backs of the knees onto the floor just to get some blood flow, some circulation back into the legs. And then we'll go ahead and bring the legs out wide here, again removing the flesh from the sits bones as we come into a posture called dragonfly. The wider the legs, the more intense the stretch will be. So if you feel like you need a little bit less stretch, you can go ahead and close the legs up a little bit. But we want to make sure that we have enough room, enough openness so that the pelvic bowl can start to tilt down towards the floor. Once you have the legs where you want them, you might want to prop out in front of you so that you can forward fold down onto a pillow or a set of blocks or a bolster. Go ahead and take your next inhale, lift through the crown of the head, find length through the spine, pull the toes towards the face, engage through the legs, and then exhale to disengage through the legs, walk the fingertips forward. Again, just like we did before, either staying on the palms, come down to the forearms, or find that prop that you might want out in front of you to come down onto. Once you feel that resistance, round through the spine, drop the head, neck, and shoulders down towards the floor. Notice where you might be holding tension. Maybe that's through the hips, maybe that's through the quads. All the way down through the ankles and the toes, let the feet flop in or out. Returning back into silence, back into stillness. Finding some comfort within discomfort. Again, here you start to feel tension drifting away from the legs. You feel some openness through the inner thighs. Go ahead and begin to walk the fingertips forward a little bit more, bringing the torso down towards the floor, maybe even just a micrometer more. then here, let's start to re-arrive. Slowly and softly taking your next full breath in. And fully exhale. Within your next breath or two, start to gently walk the fingertips, the hands back in towards the body, in towards the torso. And as you come up to a seat, you can bring the hands behind the backs of the knees. Start to close the legs up out in front of you, bring the legs out long. Again, here you can bring the hands behind you just a couple of inches and start to pedal out the knees, bringing a little bit of circulation back into the legs. And then from here, I'll go ahead and turn. We're going to go ahead and keep the legs out straight here. And we're going to forward fold over the legs. You might prefer to have a pillow or a bolster on the lap. Or maybe you don't want anything there, and that's fine too. We won't hold this one as long as we've held the other ones. But go ahead and remove the flesh from the sits bones as you grab your props or whatever you want to put on your lap. And then take your next inhale, lift through the crown of the head. Find that neutral spine, pull the toes towards the face. And then exhale to disengage through the legs. Again, we start to walk the body forward. So this is a very passive forward fold. There's no need to grab fingertips for toes or for the edges of the feet, but just let the arms be heavy here. As you start to fold forward, round through the spine, drop the gaze down towards the knees or perhaps the shins. And then just begin to breathe into this space as we hold here for the next several breaths. Sending breath into any sensation that you might be feeling through the backs of the legs, the hamstrings, the knees. Let's go ahead and take our next breath in. And exhale to slowly start to rise up one vertebra at a time, all the way to rise back up to your seat. And now to counterbalance those forward folds, go ahead and walk the fingertips back a couple of inches, all 10 fingers facing forward. Bend through the knees, bring the soles of the feet down to the mat. And take your next inhale, lift the hips up towards the sky, drop the head back. Feel that stretch, that flushing sensation through the shoulders as you broaden out through the collarbones. Holding here. One more full breath in. And exhale, go ahead and release the hips back down to the floor. Bring the legs out long and recline all the way down onto the back body from here. As we come down onto the back body, take your next inhale, reach the arms up overhead, find that full body stretch as you reach the toes down for the bottom of the mat. And then exhale, start to pull the knees into the chest. As the hands come to the knees, give yourself a squeeze here, and then go ahead and keep the knees stacked as you start to drop them to the right, as we come into our supine twist. And you can take any other variation of twist here that you might like. If you want to cross the left leg over the right and then drop the knees to the right, that's fine too. If you want to stagger the knees, that's all right too. Go ahead and take any modification that feels good to you. And then start to turn the head over the left shoulder to complete the twist as the eyes start to close down. Settle in through the spine and the low back. Drifting into that meditative space. held or choppy, or maybe it's fluid. Take your next inhale and exhale within the shape. Finding your next round of breath, we'll start to unwind you back through center, pulling the knees back into the chest, giving yourself a squeeze here before restacking the knees, or finding whatever variation serves you, and then dropping the knees to the opposite side. Being really mindful during that transition of the spinal column and how that feels. Turning the head as if you were gazing over the right shoulder, but perhaps the eyes come to closed. Returning back to that quietness in the mind. Letting go of any clenching or holding. Slowly returning. Start to bring awareness back to your next full inhale and full exhale. Within your next round of breath, slowly start to unwind back through center. Hands come to knees. Give yourself another squeeze here before opening up through the knees. Reaching between the knees for the blaze height edges of the feet. For a happy baby, go ahead and rock back and forth. Maybe you grab for ankles or shins. Maybe peace sign fingers around the toes. Just giving yourself a little bit of movement here. Maybe even stretching out through one leg up towards the sky and then the other. Maybe bringing both feet up towards the sky, opening up through the legs. We'll take one more round of breath here. Before exhaling to bring everything back down to the mat. Legs and arms out long and out wide to a 45-degree angle. Coming into a very, very short Shavasana here, just long enough to create a little bit more balance within breath. To come back into the space right now, surrender to the mat. Soften through the skin. Bringing some movement into the fingers and the toes. Gently start to shift the hips from side to side, the head from side to side. Eventually pulling the knees back into the chest, giving yourself that squeeze. And then go ahead and roll to your favorite side, right or left. Finding side resting pose for 3 rounds of breath. 1, 2, 3, 'Gently start to press the hands into the earth, lifting yourself all the way back up to a seat. Coming back to that comfortable seat, crossing at the ankles. Go ahead and bring the hands to the knees as you close the eyes down. Returning back to breath, we'll go ahead and end class the same way that we began, with 3 rounds of inhale and exhale. So wherever you are, go ahead and exhale the air all the way away from the body, away from the space. Taking your next large deep breath in through the nose, lift the breath all the way up and out the crown of the head, holding at the top. And then exhale out the mouth. Second round of breath when you're ready. Inhaling in through the nose, lifting the breath all the way up, holding at the top, and then audibly exhale. Last time when you're ready. Biggest, largest, deepest breath in through the nose, all the way up and out the crown of the head, pausing at the top, and open mouth exhale. Returning back to your natural breath rhythm. Bringing hands to heart center, fluttering the eyes open if they are closed. Deepest, deepest bowing in gratitude to each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. I salute. Namaste.